got one big one. I'm kind of curious on how you're going to answer that one, because it's a question I've been wanting to be asked for a while.
I got you.
But like I said, this is Travin Moore with Moore Owl Fishing. Joined today by the inspiring angler, tournament angler, Chris Johnson.
Hey there.
And like I said, I greatly appreciate you joining me on such short notice, man. I got in contact with you earlier today, just seeing, maybe he'll answer, maybe he won't, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised when you actually messaged me back, to be honest with you, because I am, like I said, I'm a very small angler here. So.
Yeah, that's all right. We're all small anglers in this big puddle we're all swimming around in, man. So I'm glad to be on here. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, and to me, you're a big deal because that's how small of an angler I am. We've only been doing this bass fishing 5 years.
Oh wow, you're new to the game then.
Yes, very, very, very new. I am still wet behind the ears, so
that's all right. That's the great thing about this sport is none of that matters, man. You just got to get out there and get after it, So.
Yeah, well, I mean, a little bit of background on me so you know where these questions are coming from.
Uh-huh.
I spent the last 16 years military. So I just got out and I got 4 more years of guard, and then I'm retired from the military.
Well, thank you for your service, man.
And thank you for your support. It's always awkward when people say that, you never really know what to say back. But
well, we appreciate it, man. Our country's based on that, and I'm glad for you.
So, thank you.
That's the right word.
But for the longest time, I spent a long time not really knowing what I wanted to do when I got out. Just kind of. And then I got divorced, and I tried to dive full force into the military and go special forces, all that. That was my whole goal.
Yeah.
And then after my last deployment, I said, nope, I really don't like this. And we went fishing one time, me and my buddy, and it was one of the most relaxing times I've had in the past 16 years. And it just kind of cascaded from that. And that was 2018.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just been getting steadily more hardcore into it as it went. And now here I am trying to make something of myself in the fishing world.
Oh, there you go.
So,
that's how it's supposed to work right there, man. So you get a little taste of it, and then I know a lot of guys exactly like you. They get a little taste of it. Next thing you know, and then they're fishing tournaments and they're chasing after it. And
yep.
It's a great passion, man. So,
and I wish I had more experience when I was younger, because I see a lot of the guys on here like you who have decades and decades of experience. And then I feel inadequate when I come up here and I'm talking to like you, because I got all this information in front of me, but there's so much of it. I feel like I'm overbogged by info and I don't know what to do when I get on the water.
Yeah.
Because the information's there. I just don't know how to utilize it.
Yeah. Yeah. I made a video on that here not too long ago, actually.
Yeah, and I did see it. Yeah. So, which, speaking of that, how I found you, I was on the way to work one day, and it was your video on old boats.
Yep.
Because I have a 1994 Champion.
Yeah. I watched some of your videos today. I noticed that. So, made my day.
It's the most favorite boat I've ever had, and I've had 2 bass trackers up till now, and I can tell you hands down the Champion is amazing. So even though it's old, even though it's old,
hey, that's okay, man.
Yeah,
that's okay. It's that's well, on my channel I talk about it all the time, but everything I got's dated, and I take care of it and use it, but there's nothing, the equipment you have or I have or whatever it is not stopping anyone from fishing or being a competitor. That's just something that I think is implanted in everybody's head through media and television and everything else, you know. And sure, it's great if you have the means to afford all that, so be it. But it doesn't mean that you can't if you don't have it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's one of the hardest challenges I've had to try to get over. Is I feel like, if I get this, it'll help me just a little bit here, and then I'll be able to do this here. Or maybe this will help me recognize patterns quicker so I can catch up to these guys, or
yeah,
I'll or go out there with the game plan like I did during this last tournament. I'll be like, okay, I'm going to fish right beside the creek channel.
yeah.
I'm not going to leave it. And then I'm sitting there, and after like 4 or 5 casts, I'm thinking to myself, well, the guys at Tactical Bassin said right off the creek arm, right up that way. So I'll try that. And then next thing I know, I'm all over the back of the creek, and I don't know, and I completely lost where I was at. What's the best way you think for getting over that?
Oh boy, I will tell you, there's so much great, and I don't want to ever say the information ain't good. There's so much great information out there. I will tell you, man, just when I started out, luckily, as you've heard on my channel, I started tournament fishing when I was 11 with my dad. My dad was an avid tournament angler. So I had a great learning curve to understand patterns and fish, but I still went through all this same process as you're going through. Once I got my own boat and once I started fishing tournaments on my own, at the end of the day, sure, I've won some tournaments and did well, but for every one that I've done well in, there's probably 7 to 10 more that I done horribly in, that I did like you're talking about. I had that day that I was like, what? I don't know what I did today. I went out there. I probably got too locked down on what I thought I needed to do. I didn't leave my mind open. I thought I did everything right. I can remember coming home one day, and I was just young, married at the time, and I come home belly aching to my wife, and I'm like, I got better equipment. I got a better boat. I got everything. I mean, I got everything. I don't know why I can't catch them. And I went through a spell of 2 or 3 years. It was absolutely awful. And I had the best equipment. I had tons of knowledge. I was taking in all the information. I was fishing with a lot of other guys, trying to learn. And it was misery. I just struggled so bad. And over the latter part of my life here, as I've been tournament fishing, I've become to be a little more. I noticed that I was trying to force what I had heard, what I had learned, and trying to force it onto these fish all the time. And I ain't saying all the information I had wasn't good, but I needed to start listening to what was happening during the day and open myself up to allow myself to catch some fish, if that makes sense. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to even catch fish. We're trying so hard. And once that doubt, the frustration, and those things begin to start swirling around your days, it begins to tank. And so for me, I guess saying all that kind of get around to your question is the main thing is just to keep an open mind and not get stuck on absolutes. It's easy to go, it's wintertime, the water's cold, they got to be deep, and I got to fish slow.
Yeah.
Well, if you've been fishing deep and slow for a while and you haven't had a bite yet, go shallow and fast, or go deep and fast, or start experimenting, start going through some things and allowing something to happen. I guess is what I'm saying. You're going to allow something to happen by kind of getting outside of this mindset, and it changes everything. I mean, everything. My dog's yours.
Yeah, it's my dog. Sounds like he's getting in trouble for peeing in the house again.
Oh, crap.
He's a puppy. He's still learning. So
hey, that's all good, man. I got 2 of them. They drive me crazy someday.
Well, we got a little Australian Shepherd, and he is a stubborn little puppy.
Yep. One of my kids has one of those. It's full of a lot of energy. And
I'll take 3 more Labrador or pit bulls before I'll ever take another Australian Shepherd. So, but on that one, the only thing I think I can say is it possible for me to be too open-minded? Because I feel like that's all I do when I get out there. Like I'm constantly switching it up. Like I'll make a 4 or 5 casts at this island that has a 100-foot drop off right beside it within 5 feet, and I'm like, okay, I see fish, I see the baits there. I'm casting out a jig, kind of bouncing it down slow and slow dragging it, and I'm not getting anything. And then I'll do a bait switch and try again, and nothing. So then I'm just like, well, I'm going to move over here because this ain't working with the same baits, and then I'll try a different bait over there. And I just feel like I'm bouncing a million miles and I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I will say in my world, I never see fish to fish for. So everything I do is strictly based off of, understanding contours and cover and fish.
Oh, no. This was on 2D on side scan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
At the time, my live sonar was broke. It got snipped in the drive up there. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even 2D. I don't.
Oh, okay.
Fish for fish on 2D or anything like that. And I have a reason for that. And because it's just when I can't catch a fish, I lose my mind. When I can see them and I go, they're there, and I can't catch them, it drives me insane. I don't bed, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I don't bed fish I haven't bed fished my entire life for one reason. I learned early on when I tried to learn how to do it that I'd get so caught up in trying to catch these fish I could see, and I couldn't catch them. I wasn't good enough like some guys are to catch these cruisers and stuff like that.
Okay.
I would burn day after day after day trying to catch them, and I would become so frustrated because I'm like, they're there. I know they're there. They're the winning fish are right here. I can see them. All I got is catch them, and I was never able to do it. I've also done it I used to jig a spoon a lot deep, and I'd see these schools of fish, and every now and then I could get them to bite, but I'd be in a tournament, I'd get to looking and going, oh my gosh, they're out here. Even though I knew I just need to be fishing a jig on this hump or ledge or whatever. If I just stick to that, fishing the bottom and doing what I was doing, I was going to catch one every now and then. But I'd get to looking at these fish I could see, and I'd get distracted from the job at hand. And what it was, for me, it became a distraction from what I knew I needed to do to compete in a tournament. So I just eliminated it from my style of fishing. I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm saying that's what I had to do to say, I need to stick with this jig on the bottom doing this. I don't need to be distracted by these fish out here. So just don't look at them, just stay away from them. And that's what I've had to do. It's ultra simplistic, but I just had to take that carrot out from in front of me because otherwise I reach for it every time,
Well, and oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're going fine. You're fine.
But that's an interesting point that you bring up, because now that I'm thinking about my first season with Buddy Bass, we just kind of went out, and what we did pretty much the entire time was flip and pitch. Me and my buddy, that was it. It was strolling shoreline with practice and tournament day, and that's it, flip and pitch.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all we did, because we didn't have all the fancy stuff. And the guy, when we got there, popped off right off the rip. Well, we were fishing brush piles, but you can't see them with that little crappy 2D right in front of you. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm not even going to bother. Sounds like a waste of time. I'm just going to do what I do back home and flip and pitch.
Yep.
With a little 7-inch worm, that's what I'm going to do. Screw it. And it was good for us because it got us up to fourth one time. But it's an interesting thing that you say that, because I do have a lot more screens on the boat than I used to.
And again, I'm not a hater of technology. I'm not a whatever. I'm not, as I said before, I'm not saying what I do is right for everyone, but I do know what I had to do to finally, say, I pay attention to the things that cause me frustration when I'm on the water, the things that were distracting me from what I knew I needed to do to catch fish. And
Mm-hmm.
what I do is I'm more of an elimination guy. I eliminate things that distract me from what I know to do. So, even when I go
Okay.
pre-fish at a lake I've never been on, I may establish a couple of things real quick. Maybe I catch a few fish doing something, but I spend the majority of the time trying to take away anything I can, whether it's areas or thought processes that are going to take away from me focusing on the few things that I've figured out. So that way my mind doesn't begin to wander once I go settle down on what few fish I may have found or what I've got figured out. I don't have
Okay.
these other things that I'm thinking, man, I should have went and checked that out. That may be the deal. Once I start eliminating those things out of my mind, so it's kind of like the graph thing. Once I eliminated
Mm-hmm.
that, I don't have to ever worry about that. It's not ever I'm going to go fish shallow or the way I fish structurally, by triangulating and stuff like that. And it keeps me really, I don't want to say laser focused because I'm not, but it keeps me focused on the style of fishing I'm doing, how I'm going
It
about it.
keeps like your head clear.
Yes, you're just not. Let's say I'm flipping a row of bushes, and I'm going through a flipping, and I think flipping's going to be the bite, but I don't want to be thinking about a drop off or these, cranking these bluffs around the corner or something. I want to be focused on this area that I've decided to pick. Well, instead of, I'm going out there flipping, I went maybe an hour without a bite. I'll go, okay, there's some fish here. Obviously, they're not wanting whatever today, jig today, flipping
Okay.
these fishes. I'm going to pick up a spinnerbait or a crankbait, and I'm going to begin to experiment around with the water that I have. I'm not going to run down the lake 10 miles. I'm going to begin to go, all right, I'm just missing what these fish are doing right here today. And I start working through a few baits, kind of picking through some things. Now, what may happen in that for me lots of times is I'm going through those bushes flipping. I'm getting a little bit like, they're not biting this thing. I pick up my spinnerbait and I fish a little bit more and I don't get a bite. Maybe I pick up my crankbait or something. What'll happen is you eliminate these wandering thoughts of going, I need to do something else. What has happened to me so many times is I'm like, no, man, you just need to get back to picking that jig. Pick that jig up. 10 bushes later, I catch a nice one, then you catch another one, I catch another one. It wasn't that I wasn't on the right thing, but I needed to work through a couple of things, get back to where I was supposed to be, and then finish out the day. I don't know how many times I've had that happen. Because invariably, if you tournament fish much or competitive fishing, you're going to find yourself, you go to an area, you thought you had some fish there, you start fishing, you fish 45 minutes, an hour, you don't get a bite, you bail out there, you run around all day long, frustrated, think, oh man, we'll just go back over where we started. And you make one pass through there, you catch 3 good ones, and you're just barely out of the money, and you're like, what? What was I thinking? They were there. I didn't allow it to.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I've learned through years of doing that to go experiment around with the water you have, but allow yourself to circle back to what you know. And that's kind of how I go about it a lot. And it really works for me. So again, it's ultra simplistic. I just keep everything just stupid simple,
And I'm a big proprietor of the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep. I have it
I've picked. See, there you go. But I mean, and I have something similar on our first season because we were fishing a tournament. It was really rainy and nasty, and we were going to do the flip and pitch stuff again. Well, we were like, first, like we just seen this on the map. There's a little hill out in the middle of this lake right here that goes up to 1 foot, and then back down to 13, and then back up to the shallow area. So like, let's try that. And let's just go out there and I'll drop the anchor and we'll just sit there. Because at the time I had a 16-foot boat, little regular anchor. And we went out there and for like the first 2 hours, nothing. And so we said, screw it, went back to flipping and pitching and didn't get anything all day. And we had the last hour and a half. And we're like, let's fish the hill again. Screw it. We ain't got anything anyway. let's go back. And when we pulled up there, we anchored down. My buddy sat down. I was like, I'm eating lunch. I don't care. I'll get up and start casting again when I'm done. And I just kind of nonchalantly made a cast up there towards the buoy. And my bait never hit bottom. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And when I set the hook on it, it was a 5-pounder. Okay, well, he picks up and start casting again, and he casts back out there at the same spot, kind of, and he pulls in another 4.5 off the same spot. And so now we're freaking out. We're like, we should have been here all day. This was it. And so we continue to cast on it. We only get one more. But now it's time to go weigh in, and unfortunately, the biggest one died because of my crappy live well at the time. It was all the aluminum one. There's no aerator.
Oh, yeah.
But it was funny that you have a similar story to that, because that was our best tournament by far, weighing in over 10 pounds. That was my best to this day.
I got you. Yeah. So, like there, I would, if I got somewhere like that, I'm liable to, I may sit there and go, man, I feel good about this, but I didn't catch any here today. I'm going to circle back at maybe noon and just kind of keep checking on it every now and then. And to where if you check on it and next thing you know, you're like, oh man, they've moved in, they're biting now. And you can capitalize on something like that, but it's all trial and error. I don't, fishing's changed a little bit over the years, but that's how it's always been, trial and error. And the only thing that's kept me a lot of times from having some good success was just being stubborn-headed on a pattern or what I think. And the worst thing is you go pre-fish, you get on some fish, and then you go back to them the next day and you stop thinking. That's why I tell so many people all the time. I said, I want you to think about the process you're going through when you're pre-fishing. Your mind is wide open. You're fishing whatever water comes to you. You're looking around. You're going, oh, let's try this. Maybe we ought to try that. Yeah. And you're thinking all the time. You're processing what's going on around you. And all of a sudden you put together a great day while you're pre-fishing. Like, man, I'm on them. I've dialed them up. I said, most anglers at that point, they stop thinking. They go home. They rig up their 3 rods that they think they need for tomorrow. Like, man, I'm catching them on spinnerbait. That's all I need. We got them dialed up. They lay the 2 spinnerbaits on their deck. They head out to their first spot. They quit. They gave up. They quit doing the process they did pre-fishing because that part's hard. That's staying focused. That thinking about what's going on around you all the time. That is hard. And so what I got to do going into the tournament is, and I've done the same thing. I just quit. I'm like, I know what to do now. I don't have to think about it anymore. I've got the rods I need. I go to that water, and I spend the next 5 hours not getting a bite. And I get ticked off and upset, bent out of shape. Why aren't they here? I don't know what's going on. Well, I didn't allow them. I didn't give the fish a chance to tell me what was going on. That was I caught yesterday. That was yesterday. I didn't think about today. Yeah. And you've got to go into every day just like that. Like, sure, I know the areas I want to go into that because of pre-fish and what I learned, but I have to stay in that same mental process of processing through the bites. How's the bite? Is the bite the same today? Is it different today? Have they changed a moving bait or a slower bait? And paying attention to, I just seen one swirl up there and I never seen a single one yesterday. Something changed. And when you can make
that, I think I'd pick up a top water.
Yes, you make an adjustment and you go. But so many guys, they like I said, they go pre-fish and they stop right there. I got them. And that's the end of the tournament. And I've watched it my whole life, been there and done that. And you got to be careful with that. So you got to figure out where fish are, but you got to keep thinking through the whole event.
And I'm definitely guilty of that myself. I'm not even going to sit here and act like I'm not. So
yeah, no, it's easy. I mean, I'm not. I got 40 years of failing miserably.
Well, I ain't got that under my record yet, but I imagine that something might come up here in the next few months, where that just continues. And I'm worried about it.
Nah, that's another thing. Don't worry about it. That's the other thing about competitive fishing is you don't worry about it. And I will tell you, I don't know where you're at in the competitive thing. I can already tell you you are competitive. You want to begin to prove yourself. Is
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of guys in the same spot as you, and I'm not trying to talk. I'm not talking down or anything like that. I hope you know that. I'm
No,
just
you're good. No, you're good.
they're 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 young in their fishing career. They
Yep.
they haven't got a lot of time under their belt, but they're anxious to prove themselves. They're anxious to kind of
Yeah.
put themselves
That's
in the ranking of the dudes at the tournament. So everybody looks at the tournament and goes, man, that guy's at the top all the time, and these guys, and they're trying to rate themselves in all this. And what happens in that is whenever you begin to want to try to, as a competitor, and I get it, I've been there, is what you're doing is you're unconsciously putting a whole lot of pressure on yourself. You don't think about it, but anytime you're thinking about, hey, man, I want to do good in this tournament, I want to prove myself amongst these guys. I want to walk up with a bag of string fish with these boys and show them I can catch them. And subconsciously, you're
yeah.
putting a huge amount of pressure on yourself that I'm just going to tell you, this subconscious pressure, it eats you alive out in the fishing world. It you the minute they don't start biting, you're like, oh no, man, I'm going to walk up there with no fish again, and man, I want to do good, and you know, I want these
Yeah.
guys to know I can catch them, and it just starts snowballing. And I'll tell you, I know so many guys that deal with that, and the best thing to do is go out there and go, man, I'm fishing to get some fish today. The last thing on my mind is what we do at the weigh-in. That you just leave
Yeah.
all that out of it. I mean, leave it out of it until you weigh in. And then go, well, we ended up whatever, you know,
Well,
and then walk
and
away.
on that one here, I've I'm guilty of that one as well because I feel like I need to justify me doing these tournaments. Like if I can't go in and at least weigh in 5 one time this season, I don't deserve to be here. You
Yeah,
know, and that's
and
that subconscious thing. But now all I really want is just weigh in one and not get skunked again. You
yep,
know,
yep, yep.
and
You understand what I'm talking about here is the uh, you deserve to. I'm just going to say it like this: you deserve to be there fishing as a competitor, whether you catch any or not. You don't have to. Uh, you know, I don't think that a person should have to. You got to be really cautious too. You know, it depends on whether your family and that supports you getting to go. I've been very
mhm,
fortunate to have a wife for 30 years that has said, "Hey, that's what you love to do it." I never had to justify anything with winnings or performance to justify what I love to do. So, like you, if you love the fishing, the only thing that has to be won there, that has to be won. Now, we all love to win, but the only thing that has to be
yeah,
won there is you leaving the lake going, I got to spend the day doing what I love to do. I love to compete. I'm learning. I learned some more today. It was a good day. Uh, I don't have to win my money back because I spent the rent. You know, uh, if you've got that kind of stuff, all you need to be doing is going, paying your entry fees, and say, I'm going to enjoy these tournaments until, and one of these days, I promise you, it's all just kind of going to flow and you're going to have a great day and you're going to walk up there and weigh a sack of fish in and go, oh crap, we're going to win today. And it's going to be like magic. That's how
I'm
it works.
open, man.
It will.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that day. You have no idea. I've
No,
never got a top 3 yet, but a top 4 for me. I left there so happy when I was in 4th place. I was on top of the world. No one could ruin my mood that day. Nobody on the planet.
exactly. Yes.
So I know at first the worst part about fishing with me was I was so stressed out about the tournament that I
Yep.
was angry on my boat all the time.
Oh,
If
yeah.
if I stepped on a rod because it was too far up on the deck, I got pissed off and angry.
Yeah.
If they weren't biting at a spot that they were yesterday, I was angry.
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
I've gotten better on this season right now, like, because my last tournament, that's when I broke my trolling motor and everything.
I watched that one.
And even the co-anglers said, like, I'm surprised you're not pissed off, man. You just broke your trolling motor and your transducer. I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, we're still here fishing. Who cares? I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll just do it the way I used to do it. Who gives a crap? You know?
Yeah. Making the best of it, I totally understand that. I fought that some when I was younger, getting upset because things weren't just right, or again, like I talked about earlier, just frustrated. But I was trying too hard. I was trying to force things, and I was trying to go, look, I got the stuff, and I've studied, and I deserve to do good. And no, but none of that works. You just gotta go fish.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, that was the toughest fight so far, because I don't know if you know this, but I did do the Touring Anglers Association's tournament in Georgia.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was that $5,000 entry fee. And on that one, I was very on edge the entire time. So, because I was like, that's $5,000.
Yeah.
So,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And I ended up getting skunked, which hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And what was funny is I was getting bites all day. That was the worst part.
Just couldn't.
It's just I think I was freaking out so much, and I was trying to set the hook early and kept ripping it out of their mouths. And that was on day one. I got so mad at my fourth one that I missed, that I even got to see him, that I just snapped a rod out of anger and had to sit down. Yeah, it was bad. The girlfriend was on the boat with me, and even she said, like, you were scary.
Like, holy cow. No.
That was a rough day on the water. Like, I went home and had to contemplate life because I was so mad. It was, yeah, it was bad.
That stinks.
Yeah.
Paying those
even the girl.
Huh? Go ahead.
No, the girlfriend was asking me if I wanted to go home a day early. I was like, no, I've paid $5,000. I'm going to fish this day too. I don't care.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm not going to waste $5,000 for one day of fishing, getting skunked, and then drive 13 hours home. I'm not doing that.
Even more ticked off driving home. It ain't worth
it. Yeah. Because my thought process on that is if I do that and I go out there day two, I might catch a 15 or 20-pound bag that I've never caught before. I won't know unless I get out there.
Exactly. And fish through it, let it play out. And you got to take each one of these events, man, and look at the day and look at what transpired during the day and go, what can I take away from this as a learning part? What allowed me to get so frustrated? And then use that in the next one to, when things start unraveling a little bit, you lean back on that and go, whoa, hold on a minute. And you got to calm down and let the fish, like, it's easy. I had a tournament here not too long ago where I was losing a lot. Actually, it was up in Kansas, the state Bass Nation Championship. And the first day of the tournament, man, I was losing. I lost so many bass. It was unbelievable. I zeroed that first day, and I was on them. I was on them. And even my corner was like, holy crap, dude, you've lost so many big fish. It's unbelievable. I was like, yeah, this is sick. And the second day, went out, started the same routine again. Like I did that till 11 o'clock. Like just big one after big one come jump off. And 11 o'clock, I thought back and I was like, hold on a minute. You know how to get these fish in. And I went back to an old way that I used to land big fish that I learned a long time ago through this same process. And once I started that, I caught the second largest sack of the tournament and big bass for the second day. Got me a ticket for the regional championship through Kansas. And I did all that from 11 to 3 the second day. I was on the fish to have won the event. Hunter Baird won it, but again, I had the second biggest string of the tournament from 11-3 the last day, and big bass the second. But it was what I had allowed to happen was I was getting frustrated the first day because I couldn't get them in, and I allowed that to just keep perpetuating itself instead of stepping back and going, you know how to land these fish. You've been in this position before. That's what I'm talking about. You got to reach back there and go, I've been here before. I've been in this situation before. And once I started doing that, I landed every bass, every one of them. I landed after that. It was like, what was I thinking? But the sooner you can get, after I lost 2 or 3 the first day, I should have went, okay, I know what to do now, and I need to change the way I'm going about landing these fish, and turn it into a successful tournament. That one, I just lost my mind for a day and a half until I finally got it together. But that's what I mean from taking. That was from lots of events of losing lots of fish and going, man, if I could just get these fish in, I could do well. And then reaching for that information quick and making a change. Again, it's all about making changes,
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish during that one I would have picked up on that stuff sooner because believe it or not, after the tournament, I was just bank fishing and ended up landing 3 before we left the bank.
Yeah.
So I just kind of looked at the girlfriend after that like, well, better late than never.
Yeah, exactly. So you, again,
so
even in a bad tournament, there was stuff to be learned there that you're going to use on down the road here. It's easy to take a bad tournament and go, I'll just forget all that. I don't want to ever remember that tournament again. Oh no, there's plenty there to go. I know I had this happen once before. I know what to do now,
Yeah. Well, and that's what the girlfriend asked. Was that tournament worth $5,000? And I told her, well, with the experience and the people I met, absolutely worth $5,000.
Yes, absolutely.
So now I know what it's like losing $5,000. So when I go to a BFL and it's one of those, oh, it's only a $250 entry fee.
Yeah.
I've lost worse,
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's a good way to deal with stress, but it helps me.
There you go. I'm with you. Been there, done that.
But the only question I had for you right off the rip was, say you have an angler that has never been on a boat. He is a boater in a BFL, and he's never caught a bass before. What advice would you give him on his first tournament with zero practice to go out there and weigh in one fish?
He's never had a boat. He's never fished out of a boat. He's never caught a bass.
Nope.
If I was that individual and I was in that position, I would probably say the first thing to do is just go fishing. And, I'm going to assume this individual maybe has bank fished or something like that,
it was just a generic question my brother came up with. And I was like, yeah, I'll ask him that. That's a good question.
What I'm going to say is so he can cast. He has some lures he likes throwing. So he's fishing, here and there off the shore. I would tell that individual they've got their boat, so they're not experienced in running up and down the lake, would idle to wherever the off limits of the takeoff is, wherever that starts at. So if they said this buoy line's the off limits, I would idle to that buoy, pick up whatever their favorite lure is. No, I don't care what time of year it is. If that's a shaky hit, a plastic worm, a wacky rig, let's just say what little experience they got. Whatever their most favorite lure is, they need to troll over to that bank. They need to put their trolling motor in and start fishing their way away from the takeoff on whatever comes to them. If it's boat docks, if it's bluff bank, if it's bushes, if it's whatever gumming as you're headed up that bank, whatever's there, fish it and fish it real good. Fish it just like you were fishing in a farm pond that you didn't have any choice of going anywhere else, and just start fishing and start experimenting around. If you decide you want to tie on one of your other favorite lures, and chuck it around some. Maybe you come up to some shallow water and you used to catch them on a popper or something. Pick it up and start throwing it there too. Just like what information you know about bass fishing, use that to attack that little bit, that water you're fishing, and fish and fish and fish until the tournament's over. And then, or fish up that bank. Somewhere you're going to end up with a couple if you fish that way. Fish till, let's say it's you got to weigh in at 3. Fish that bank as far as you can go, and then turn the boat around and fish your way all the way back to where you've split the day. Either come back on that same water or start your motor up, idle across the creek, and I fish all the way up the other side back to the takeoff. And spend every minute you've got fishing and taking in everything you learn there. If I was telling them, that's what I tell them to do. Don't go out there and get in some rough water that you don't know how to understand. Don't get off out there where you're looking at bluffs and you're looking at docks and you're looking at all this water and you don't know what to do with it, because immediately you're going to get overwhelmed with a reservoir. Yeah. You're going to go, oh my gosh, there's all this water everywhere. I don't even know where to stop at. So if you don't have any experience fishing, you're really not going to know where you want to go. So the better thing to do is just to get to fishing. I'd put money on the dude's probably going to walk in there. Possibly he's going to have a few. He might even have a limit because he spent his whole day fishing. He hasn't been distracted by anything else. And I guarantee you it would be successful. At that point, you go, okay, next time I may do that same thing, except I'm going to go a little further. Until you begin to start understanding some fish patterns, how the lakes work, what the wind is like, you're going to be experiencing the conditions, and then to start adding to that. I'm assuming be a person starting out fishing. Now you're going to add some more experience in a way to that, and some more experience. Till next thing you know, you're running down the lake a little ways. But that's what I would tell them. And
that's it. And here's the twist. That was actually my plan for the next practice. I was going to try whatever you said.
I'll tell you how I practice, and I fish a lot of tournaments all over the place. I put my boat in, I start fishing. I don't look. I may have studied Google Earth and looked at all the lake and what's available, and having an idea.
Got that pulled up.
But I'm going to start fishing. I'm going to put my boat in. I'm going to start. I just head down the bank, and I go and I go and I go in every cove. I go in every pocket. I just fish and fish, because at that point, what I'm doing is I've studied the lake with my map and my Google Earth, so I know what's available. So now I fished a flat, I fished a pocket, I fished a bluff, I fished dock. Well, if I get any bites in any of all that, and let's say I fish through a bunch of docks, I didn't get a bite, and then I fish through a flat with some buckbrush and I get a bite, but I get on a piece of bluff and I catch one. All of a sudden I'm going,
that's telling.
Yeah. And let's say I keep fishing and I come up to I fish through some more junk and I don't get a bite, but I come up to another piece of bluff and I catch one. At that point, for that day, I could say right now, this day, I've already studied this lake. I know right down there's another bluff, and I know down around the corner is another bluff, and I know over there's another bluff. I've now tapped into the pattern for the day, and I can run that because I've now gotten a few bites. Where if you don't allow yourself that fish telling you what they want or what's going on, you start running around. And maybe you pull up on bluff, you fish down it with the wrong bait or something because you're not going slow, you don't get a bite, and you never key into the bite. So, that's what I do. I just put my trolling motor down and go to fishing. And almost always they'll tell you what you need to do. And then now you've done all the study, you know where, hey, I caught one in the back of this creek here. There's another creek right around the corner. I go back it and just let it start unfolding.
Okay. And that might be what I'm doing wrong with my practices too, because I studied Google Earth, Navionics maps, and one other app. What was it? I can't remember the name. FishBrain for areas around whatever lake I'm going to. And on this last one, I dialed it down to, okay, they should be just on the top of creek channels, swing banks is where they should be.
Yep.
Around those, around islands and steep bluff walls. So I've marked all them on, and that's all I fished all practice.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was fishing one of them. And I seen one of the other practice guys come in. He went around into the backside of that same island I was fishing, and he was pulling up a few and then left. And I was like, "What? What's back there?"
Exactly. You got tunnel vision on. And again, I don't want this to sound negative. Unfortunately, the only real information you have as an angler is your own. You have to find your own stuff. And I know we all got to learn from, it's like me. I could sit here and explain to you all day long what I'm getting ready to do next week at the tournament I'm going to fish, and maybe I go do good at it. Sure, that's great information, but at the end of the day, it's what I have confidence in. I understand what's going on with it. I know break it down. And everyone as an angler you can absorb all this information, but you have to be able to go, I'm going to go figure out I'm figuring out my own thing either way. And because at that point you're building your own encyclopedia of information that works for you, and because so many times you're going to, I've got a few techniques that I absolutely love, and some of them are even around this winter time of the year, and they're so far off the normal trends. If I told you, you'd be like, "What? You're joking?" Like, yeah, and it's a winning technique, like winning, and it has. There ain't I promise you, there's not a video one. Not one tournament guy or anybody's going to tell you. They would tell you to run from this kind of water, like run from it. Like, do not ever fish it because you are going to get beat. But it works, and I'm not saying it works all the time. So, but that's stuff I've hacked around on my own and went. So, you got to build your own encyclopedia. I guess what I'm trying to say. And that comes through fishing. And sometimes we're trying to get ahead of the ball a little bit by researching and all that instead of just going fishing. And fishing is what's going to give you what you're looking for. I'll just tell you right now, just going fishing. And not, like I said, if I'd never been on any lake, I'm not running around till I get some bites.
Yeah, and we'll see on that one. Like for me, my 3 favorite baits when I go out to a lake that I know nothing about is some type of double willow spinnerbait.
Yep.
Some type of either wacky rig or Texas rig of some kind, so I can flip and pitch.
Yep.
Or if I'm in an oddball mood, a jig.
Yep.
And then some type of either top water or shallow crankbait, no matter what.
Yep.
I've got those 3 on the deck of the boat at all times, just because I have so much confidence as a search bait in the spinnerbait.
Yep.
And I can flip and pitch all damn day.
And
then the cranking is just, you got to have something there for that.
Yep.
And if I had to go out blind, those would be the 3 that I had on me, and just go fishing. And
so I guess I'll ask you this. So you just told me, I mean, those are 3 of probably my most favorite. They're a spinnerbait, pitching a jig, and then a crankbait are my bread and butter. That's what I do practically all the time. Now, I can do a lot of other things, but if I had a preference, I'm going to be searching for those kind of fish. How much other stuff do you have in your boat that doesn't align with that?
Like, what do you mean?
How much stuff do you have? Let's just say those 3 techniques. How much other things do you have laying on the deck or in your tackle that is a distraction? So a rig, straight tail minnow,
gotcha.
Carolina rigs, a swim baits. How
Yeah. At
you see
any
where
point in
I'm going?
time, yeah, I got you. In my boat, in my tackle box, I got at any given time, no matter what, I have a Ned rig box, a soft plastics box, a swim bait, a glide bait box, a jerk bait box. What else? A deep diver box, shallow diver box, and a lipless box
Yeah.
at any given time.
So if I asked you, you got tournament tomorrow, you've never been
Mm-hmm.
there, and you get to take one box. I'm going to give you one Plano 3600, and you got to dig through those boxes right there and put what you know you can catch some bass on in this tournament tomorrow. What are you going to put in that 3600?
That's an excellent one. I think I would go ahead and load up at least a few stickos and some bullet weights.
Yep.
And at least 3 spinner baits just in case I lose one.
Yep.
And I think I might hook on one soft plastic jerkbait or a hard jerkbait, and that'd be about it.
Okay. You see where I'm going there with that?
Yeah,
So,
you're minimizing tackle.
I am constantly in my boat going, what do I keep throwing in here that I need to get out of here? Because, like, you're not going to find lots of stuff. You know, I'm not the guy and go, hey, man, you can come with me. I got everything. You know, if you need something, I got it. Because you're not going to find drop shot weight. You're not going to find a mojo rig. You're not going to find a straight tail rub. You're not going to. You might find a Kitech paddle tail in there if you dig long enough, but I don't know. If it was, it's only because I forgot to throw it out. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's how I go about it. I get that stuff out of my hair so that I just don't want to be distracted with it. I want to focus 100% on what I know, what I trust, and let myself fish. And I know that's narrow-minded, but I think so many times we all just get too much. And the more rods I always have pretty good 6, 7, 8 rods out. I'm not going to say I'm not saying the right thing to do is lay out 2 rods, but I'm saying you can have 7 brand too many of square bill. So in other words, you if you've got a 1.5, whether it's a Lucky Craft, a Strike King, a H2O, if you've got 5 brands of the exact same 1.5 crankbait, you need to decide which one of them you like the best and not worry about them other. You know, I keep like 2 brands of square bill, and they're both different from each other. They do a different thing, and I don't get too sidetracked because it's easy to get. This is again, it goes back into my mentality of it. I don't want to be throwing a Strike King 1.5 and I break that thing off, but I've got a Lucky Craft 1.5 there in the same color, except maybe the belly's just a little bit different. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't want to tie that Lucky Craft one on and make 2 or 3 throws with it and not get a bite now, when the reality is those 2 baits are the same. They're more or less the same. And I know there's guys will argue with me on this, but
they're designed to do the same thing.
It goes back into psyche. And I've been there too many times. I'm like, I'll have 2 Strike Kings in there, not a you see where I'm going to try to.
Yeah, I tracking.
You know, try to keep it narrowed down to where I don't get messed up over a brand or too much stuff. You know, maybe I need to be doing this. Maybe I need to be doing that. Maybe I'll throw this. Maybe I'll throw that. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
That's me. You know, a lot of dudes love. I love tackle though. Don't get me wrong. I got more tackle than freaking ridiculous around here.
You got way more than me at the moment, but yeah, because I got stuff on my garage wall too that I really need to sit down and organize.
Exactly. Yeah, it's never completely organized.
I got halfway once.
Yeah. I've been in the middle of trying to organize a bunch of plastics, and I fish so little plastic that I'm like, I don't even know why I have all this. Yep,
That whole bin right there is all soft plastics that I need to organize.
yep, that's it. Buckets full.
So yeah, it's bad. I got 5-gallon bags upon 5-gallon bags of unorganized plastic, so I need to do
Yeah,
something with
yeah, I hate plastic.
it. But but that makes me think, maybe I really do just need to sit down and one day during a practice just take all of the extra bull crap off the boat and just set it aside and just go out there with the baits I actually trust and see what happens.
Yeah, just let it play out. Here's the deal, man. You're young enough in this sport. Uh, you're at a place you need to be establishing things for yourself. The go-tos. It's the thing that you learning that bait that you're going to turn to in competition when everything else runs off the track. This is what I can learn to use. Because truthfully, I hope you're not taking anything I'm saying wrong. As I'm saying, you're probably trying to advance faster than you're at with some of the.
Oh,
techniques.
I guarantee you I am.
You see where I'm going. And
yeah, no, I get you. I'm just very self-aware on this, and I know that my skill level is way down here when I'm trying to compete with guys up here, and I get that, and I'm just trying to get some gleaming of me climbing a little bit, and that's all I want.
It's truthfully, it's not very hard, man. I think if you take some of that and just kind of step back a little bit and pick you out a handful of baits and go, man. And sure enough, we're going into spring now. The water's going to start warming up. You can get away from. You can go to some shallow water. Really focus on it. Unfortunately, the February time and January, those are weird times of year that sometimes some of these other really odd techniques out in the middle of nowhere and junk really shine. But I never fished much over 6-7 feet deep ever, and no matter how cold the water is.
See, that's contrary to everything that I've read online.
It is.
Everything.
You wouldn't believe how many bass I've caught in 38-degree water in 3 feet of water. It's ridiculous, and nobody does.
In this last tournament, I don't think I fished in anything less than 15.
Yeah, and I don't ever fish 15 unless it's hot summertime and I'm with my old favorite buddy fishing jackpots. Other than that, just because we like going out and setting deep ledge fishing, the rest of the time of the year, I'm 10 feet and less, no matter what. Cold water. I guess what I'm trying to say is it goes back to what I'm saying. It's about getting on the water and learning who you are, how you like to fish, disproving something. Go, holy crap! I just caught 1 foot of water and it's 40 degrees. It's crazy. And next thing you know, I'm figuring something out.
Wish.
This is me. I'm figuring out something for myself here. And then you have something. And you can learn a lot, but you've also, the bottom line is it's getting on the water and letting yourself just be yourself, man. I promise you. It pays big dividends. Not trying to be anybody other than, if you like throwing a wacky rig, throw a wacky rig. It's
and I do a lot.
I will tell you, this is something, and I learned this, and it's paid some good things for me. As I fished a tournament down Lake Hamilton quite a few years back, and it was in late February. Water was 45, 46 degrees. I was casting on a square bill and pitching a jig, and I was fishing reasonably shallow, 3 to 4 to 5 feet. That's how deep I was fishing for the most part. And I was casting them pretty good. I drew out with a guy. We pull up on the first spot. I'm throwing a red square bill, typical, late February.
Fire crawl,
I was fishing just a little shallow break. I mean, it was shallow. My co-angler pulls out. He's like, man, I'm going to throw my old wacky rig. I was like, yeah, you do that. That's perfect. I don't, at least I don't have to worry about him throwing a crankbait over me all day long. And he puts it, he said, look at this thing. It's this bright orange looking Cinco, wacky rig. He said, man, I catch them on this thing all the time. Now I'm thinking, water's 45 degrees. They're not going to bite no wacky rig. But hey, you throw whatever you want. I go down my first bank. I haven't had a bite yet. He's already got 2 nice keepers back there chucking this wacky rig around. And absolutely, I ended up catching 14 pounds that day on my bite. He caught just shy of 13, won the co-angler side of the tournament, never threw anything but a wacky rig, 0 to 4 feet deep all day long in February in some cold, kind of stained water. And I was like, you've got to be joking. And I brought that to Grand Lake the following year. I told my brother, I said, I've learned something. And I'll be dang. I caught the crap out of them. It was one of the days we pre-fished half a day. I was like, man, I know something we can do. And I dug out and I bought some of them. I dug one out. Second cast, I caught a keeper on it. In the first week of March, 46-degree water on Grand Lake. And I'm like, I'll be dang. You see where I'm going here?
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying I'm giving you some examples of. I was like, this guy's not going to catch anything all day. But he caught him. He caught him real good. And I learned that I have to not be so oh, that won't work. All the guys told me that. All the dudes on TV told me that won't work. Everything I've been taught my whole life, that ain't going to work this time of year. Wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm saying the great thing about the sport of fishing is it's wide open. It's only for you to start experimenting and figure it out your own way, So I'm just saying that to give you confidence in experimenting and doing your own thing, because magic. So it's a good story.
And I'd say wacky rig and Texas rig are the only real 2 baits that I have rods and reels dedicated to.
Yep.
All the rest of them are kind of mix and match. So
yeah, a Texas rig's another one of them things too. It is a fantastic way to catch fish. Hell, nobody does it anymore.
And I've been met with such animosity, even from the guys at the Buddy Bass series I fished. Every time I come up like with those 2 big ones, they're like, "How'd you catch them?" Texas rig. Damn plastics. It's all I got. And as like that was my 3rd tournament. I was like, "What? Am I doing something wrong?" Or
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
Get that. You'll get that. That's awesome.
But this last tournament, I had a wacky rig tied on, and I only used it like 3 times over by a bluff wall and let it slowly sink, and that was it.
Yeah.
Once I realized I wasn't catching anything, I put it away.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's not going to work here. I'm just wasting my time. Let's pick up this other stuff. So.
Yeah, get back to something else, And I guess I'm just trying to say fishing's a confidence game, and it's okay to fish what your confidence, even if it's not right. You sometimes you're better off to fish a technique and a lure you're confident with that's not correct by the scholars than to fish something that you're not confident in and you don't understand. You're better off with the other, in my opinion. That's just the way I see it.
I'm trying to remember what my grandpa said. It's better to fish the wrong lure where the fish are than to fish the right lure where the fish aren't.
100%. 100%.
So, and he said that, and I was like, okay, well, I just got to find the fish, and that's really all I took from it.
Yes,
and
if you line it up with what I just said, if you're better off fishing the lure you have confidence in, where there's less fish, than you are trying to fish one where there might be a lot of fish and you have no confidence. It's the same kind of principle. You could be around all the fish in the world, but if you've got a bait, you're trying to fish something that you don't necessarily have a lot of confidence in. It's probably I've been there. I've had so many guys that go, man, I'm like, hey, but I can't catch them like that. I don't have confidence doing that. So I know I can't catch them because I'm not confident with it. I'm better off over here.
Man, that's like me with jerk baits, hard body jerk baits. That's
Yep.
that's how I am.
Yep.
I mean, I've caught them with it, but it was all white bass.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Either that or snagged it up on something and ended up losing it. But that's my experience with most jerk baits.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I went down and bought a bunch, and I have them sitting there just in case I need them. But I only fish them in deep water because I don't want to lose them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I'll keep my jerk baits in my boat. Actually, they're getting ready to I'll take them through from around New Year's through right now. And then I take them out. I leave them out of the boat. I don't even take them with me anymore. I fish them through a little narrow window time. I have confidence in them. And I'm good at throwing a jerk bait at certain times, with certain conditions. But if those conditions don't arrive, I'm not throwing it. And then I take them out of the boat, and I don't take them with me again until next winter. And it's just, for me, again, I just go, me personally, I don't have a need for them to be in there distracting me from something that I'm doing. That's how I do things, And again, I'm not saying what I do is right. I'm not. I'm just saying I do things that work for me. And sometimes I think a lot of anglers out there could kind of take that same principle and not be nearly as frustrated fishing,
Yeah.
Because if it's a technique you don't like, I go back to another trip I took with a guy, and I thought it's back when drop shotting first came on, and this was back, I don't know.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Drop shotting had just hit the scene, man. It was the thing. Well, I never done any of that. Jigged a spoon quite a bit. I had a good friend of mine. He's like, man, he was great at it. And he's like, man, I'll take you up Table Rock and we'll drop shot and spoon fish all day, and I'll teach you all about it, like how to watch it on your graph and do all. He's like, man, we're going to catch them. It's going to be a great day. So I'm like, hell yeah, I want to learn. I think I need to learn this technique. As a competitor, I thought it might fit my arsenal of the way I like to fish.
Yeah.
So Table Rock, we spent all day, and we're driving home in the dark. Now we fished all day off 2 bass. Neither one of them.
Yeah.
It was awful. I mean, and we looked at bass all day long. He's like, oh, here we are, and we jig spoons and drop shot on them with little pink worms and all the junk. And it was a great day fishing, don't get me wrong. It's a great friend. And on the way home, he's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry, dude. I thought we'd catch them today. I hated that you weren't able to, gain anything from that. And I said, whoa, buddy. I said, you have no idea how much I've gained from today. I learned today that this is not a technique for me. This is not for me. There's no need for me to go buy any drop shot weights. There's no need for me to buy any little pink worms. I am done. You have helped me go, I don't need to be doing this. It's not for me. And I never have had one. I've never fished one. I'm like, that's not for me. But luckily I got to spend a day with a guy that was expert at it. And all I had to decide was he's great at it. I just like, it's not for me. I'll with you a little bit, but and for me, I looked at it and go, that's good information. I was tickled with the day. I was thrilled. It helped me make a good, solid decision for my fishing ability. And so it worked out good.
I like that.
You see where I'm going there.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to say no to something you don't like doing. I learned real quick, I don't like that. I didn't like it at all. I didn't enjoy it. So if I'm going to go to the lake and do something I don't enjoy, heck with that.
I will say so far on this, with us talking, it's got me reflecting a lot more on what I'm doing. Because around here, I talk with my friends and family about fishing a lot, but none of them fish tournaments or anything. So a lot of them are just like, oh, you don't need all that extra line, or you don't need those, just tie on one bait and go.
Yeah.
And you don't need it backups or anything, just don't lose it. And that's what I get a lot. And I'm like, you don't understand. If I lose it, I'm screwed.
Yeah. No, you gotta have
it's Yeah, but that's the whole scene. So it's nice having a conversation one-on-one like this with another tournament angler.
Yeah.
Even if your experience way outweighs mine, that's very beneficial too. Because I'm taking what you say as kind of like a law, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm
But
glad to share all my failures and successes. And again, at the end of the day, if it helps you one bit be able to become a better tournament angler, heck, if we're ever at a tournament and you go, hey man, what you told me that I whooped you today with it big time. I'm gonna go, hell yes, you great. That's where I'm at on fishing, man. I'm a competitor, but if you go and we show up somewhere in Kansas and fish tournament against each other and you stomp me with something you learned from me, I'm going to go, I did exactly what I should do as a person, and that's help. And so for me, if it helps you and I can share it and it can make you not suffer through some of the junk I've had to fight through, that's a win-win for everybody in my book, you know.
no.
And I know a lot of people, a lot of competitive anglers do not like sharing. They don't. They they don't want to tell anybody nothing.
Well, and honestly, that's part of the reason I was surprised that you actually said yeah to have to doing this with me.
Yeah.
Is because I know on the grand scheme of things, you're a much larger YouTube channel than I am. You also got decades more experience. So all of a sudden, here's like he's not going to want to talk to a low time schmuck who's just getting started.
Ah,
That was my thought process on it when I asked. But I was like, it can't hurt to ask. At least he can say is no, get the hell away from me. You
no,
know.
I'd never do that. I'd never do that, man.
So
I'm for anybody that's wanting to learn, that wants to do good, that's trying. I tell you, that's my biggest thing with fishing right now that I see more than anything is a lot of anglers like yourself, even myself that have decades of experience, just so frustrated with the sport. They're ready to quit, and it's just because they're frustrated with it and don't feel like they can compete sometimes or things like that. And I'm talking about guys that's been fishing all my life that are good, better than me, that are just like, I'm done with it. And I hate that. I hate seeing anybody get tired of fishing because it's really one of the great sports out there. It has so much to offer to even from a competitive standpoint. Sure, it can be frustrating, but it also can really give a guy peace of mind. It can make him confident in
yeah,
himself. It can make him feel good. It builds relationships, just like this one right here.
yep.
I hope that like through all this conversation that, if you're a guy and you're like, man, I need to ask somebody a question that you can be able to say, I can call Chris up, he'll answer.
Yep.
Or I could call you up and say, hey, man, I got a flat tire and I'm coming through Kansas. I need some help. And you go, hell yeah, buddy, I got you. Uh,
Yeah.
that's what begins to happen with this sport, and that's the part I love about it the most. And I hate to see people get disenfranchised with it and not want to do it. So
Yeah, and it always makes me feel like I don't have a foot to stand on that one because of how new I am.
oh yeah,
Like I don't have anything to say on it, so it's just one of those. I'm just gonna kind of shut up and stay in my lane on a lot of that,
yeah,
especially when like I had a few guys that are way older and they had an opinion on some stuff that I didn't quite agree with during the tournaments. But I was like,
yeah,
it's my first season. I'm just gonna shut up and let you do your thing.
yeah.
Looking back on it now, I'm like, hell no, I should have actually been like, hey, that was messed up. You shouldn't have DQ'd him for that when you did the same thing 2 tournaments ago.
Oh yeah,
I,
yeah,
I don't care if you're the director that was jacked up.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
There's a lot of
but
weird stuff like that, and sometimes you can say all you want to when it comes to directors and stuff. They make their own choices sometimes, and ain't my
yeah.
business, you know. But
But like you said, making relationships. Yeah, I've made a good relationship even with a guy from the photographer from the Touring Anglers Association.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he sent me all the photos from the tournament from when I was on there with Drew Cook
yeah, yeah,
individually, separate to the side, sent them all to me. I even asked him about his opinion on Champion boats before I bought it,
yeah.
and he told me I was an idiot if I left it sitting there for $6,000. So
Probably
So,
so. Great boats, man. So,
oh yeah, we found out after looking at it that it's worth more than $6,000 as it was,
oh,
and I
yeah.
was like, oh, I got to steal.
There you go.
But
In a boat that'll last
and
a long time.
oh yeah, and we even got a gel coat guy here that does gel coat, and he needs practice, so he does it on my boat.
Well, they're even better.
So it's like I lucked out on that front of hanging around a bunch of guys that we do doing plumbing and all that stuff. You make good friends like that. So
Yeah. So you do? Is that what you do? Plumbing?
yes,
Yep. Do residential?
plumbing on this residential, commercial, and service.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I'm a tile
So
setter, so I'm around plumbers all the time.
oh yeah.
That's what I do. For a living.
Well, we do keep our pants up. We don't show crack around here. So
Thank you very much. I won't say some of them down in Arkansas don't understand
My grandpa used to do that a lot. It's like, damn it, dude, come on.
that.
You're giving us a bad name, Grandpa. Jesus.
Come around the corner and go, oh man, I'm going back the other way.
I know my dad used to drop wood shavings down his back when he was doing that.
Oh wow. Ooh, itchy.
Yep, like, hey, pull your pants up.
Oh, wow. Y'all got the building thing going on up there? That building like commercial or residential housing going bananas up there where you're at? Wherever
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we got 1, 2, 3 that are going up right now.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we do all the rough-ins for and all that. It's busy.
Good. That's the way I am. It's been a little crazy the last couple of years.
Hey, it's okay. It's good money.
Darn right, man. There's nothing wrong with trades, dude. It needs more people getting in. So it's been good.
No, there were a lot of guys that said it was nuts after the deployment. Said like, "Oh, I'm going to go be a plumber." Like, hell no, I ain't doing manual labor. I did enough of this in the Army. I'm done. I'm like, yeah, come on now.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm with you.
Like it ain't that bad, guys. Come on.
No, and it's good money. Like I said, and
it's
getting to be less and less people in the trade, so it's pretty wide open anymore. Work everywhere, So.
Yeah, I think where we're at plumbing wise, we only got one other company that does plumbing that's actually licensed. The rest of them are handymen and do just the kind of under the table work.
Yeah.
So we get called in when they mess something up.
Yep. Come fix
So
it.
it's like, yep, we'll fix their mess up. We got you, but it ain't gonna be cheap. You should have called us the first time.
Yep. Or you wouldn't have been here in the first place.
Yeah. Instead of trying to get Uncle Tom over there to do it.
Yep. I've done some of them on tile. They did somebody else do their tile shower, and now
Oh.
And,
we did one shower. The dude did the entire bathroom in the tile. And then we realized when he put the tile and the sheetrock up, he punched a nail every inch through the main water line coming into the house.
Oh.
And so we had to tear that entire wall out to redo the water line, and he was not happy.
Oh, I bet.
It's like, well,
you shouldn't have poked holes in the water line, dude.
Like, well, there's a strike plate there for a reason. I don't know why you went around it. But I don't know. But I think I'm going to let you get off here. I can smell the wife. She's finished cooking some food, and I'm getting hungry.
There you go, man. Well, go enjoy your dinner, dude. And if I can ever help you with anything, you feel free to ask. So reach out.
Oh, I definitely will. And I'm taking exactly some of what you put on, and I'm going to use it when we go down to Lake Eufaula. And I'm going to see if that makes a difference.
I'll be over there here in a few weeks myself. Actually, you're fishing the weekend prior to I am. I'm fishing that Bass Nation qualifier there the weekend after you guys do.
Oh, okay. That'd be cool.
Yep. Been there quite a few times. So if I can help you there, let me know.
This will be my third time. So.
Oh, so you've been on Eufaula a few times. You're good.
Yeah, but the first time I was just there to swim and we didn't have a boat. Second time where you had some like pontoon boat that was really slow and I was just new to fishing. And now this time. So I feel like I'm going in way more prepared this time.
There you go. There you go. Well, if I can help you some,
So,
let me know.
Yep, and I'll shout out. With that being said, man, I appreciate you taking the time. Holy crap, we've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, it's all right. I did a podcast the other night. 3 hours and 30 minutes later, we finally jumped off of there.
I ended up watching that one for about an hour or something while I was on my computer editing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, me
I
and
just had
Gabe.
it in the background, and that's what gave me the idea to ask. But I was like, he just did one. He ain't going to want to do another one. He's going to get tired of that. So.
Yeah. I did another one with the echo the other night. So, heck yeah, this is perfect, man. So
And like I said, I appreciate it again.
All right. You're welcome, buddy. See you.
All right. Well, you have a good one. Bye.